you want to build a successful financial future? Keep listening, because today our experts will help you get a terrific start. Welcome to another edition of the McEnulty Method. I'm your host, Philip Ashwick, and I'm joined by financial experts Frank McEnulty and Colin Sorrell. We're here to give you the tools you need to create the future you want. Guys, how are you?
Great, Bill. How are you?
I'm doing well. Now, I understand today that you'll be talking about bank accounts, specifically savings versus checking accounts. And before you tell us which one we need, please tell me exactly what is the difference between a savings account and a checking account.
Well, with debit cards these days, there's not as big a difference as there used to be. A checking account is what they call a demand account. It's easier to take money out of it whenever you want. It's set up that way. I know people rarely write checks anymore. So that's, it's almost, in another 20 years, there probably won't be checks anymore. So, it'll just be an account. But a checking account to the bank, to the credit union, is a demand account. So they don't know how long the money is going to be there. So they either don't pay you any interest on it, or they pay you very little. Versus a savings account, its name implies your savings. You're going to theoretically leave it there for a while, let it grow, build it up. So you usually get paid more interest on those.
Yeah, I always think of it as your checking account is what you're going to spend from on a day-to-day basis, right, Frank? And that's why you said a demand account, why it's more, the amount fluctuates a little more, whereas the savings is, if you're not investing your money, which we'll get to later, you have it in this savings account and you don't really touch it too often. You kind of pull it for these one-off needs, or maybe you move some money into your checking account here and there. And Frank, you brought it up, right? Typically higher interest rates in the savings, lower in the checking account. And then the checking account, when you spend that debit card, that's what you're pulling from. So when you think about managing the two, and I think you should have both. Frank, I think you'd agree with that. You probably should have both.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
For the reason you said, and to start saving.
Yeah.
So it can help you budget. So say you get paid $1,000 a week. I like to keep numbers round so I don't have to think too hard, okay? So you get paid $1,000 a week, and you need $800 a week for living expenses, going out to eat, whatever. Well, then put that in your checking account. That's your money to spend. The $200 you have left, put it in savings. Pretend it's not there. Just leave it alone. Add another 200, let it grow with interest. Add another 200, let it grow with interest. You'll be surprised after a while how quickly that adds up. If you were able to put away $200 a week, that's $10,000 in a year. That's a lot. That all of a sudden it's real money, and now you can start investing in other things. And so that's really to me the main difference between the two is to just segregate the money based on its need.
All right. It makes sense. It's, I guess it's in olden times would have been your wallet and your piggy bank.
Yeah, basically. I remember when banks and credit unions used to give you a piggy bank when you opened an account when you were a kid, especially when you were a kid. They'd give you, your parents would take you in to open an account, and they'd give you a bank for you to put all your change in. And so it was sort of like your own little Christmas savings account. So at the end of the year, you'd bring in your piggy bank and dump all the money out, and they'd put it in your account.
There you go. I guess kids these days get a debit card.
Oh, they get a phone so young, what you
That's
need a piggy
right.
bank for.
That's right. We still have one more question, and this was sent in by Tim. And he wrote, I just started to learn how to be an actual adult. And I'm not going to lie, it's a bit challenging. I have a couple of questions. Are there any fees for opening or closing a checking/savings account? Is there anything that I should worry about when opening an account? So guys, if you could speak to that, I'd love it.
Well, depending on the bank, there's fees. Sometimes they're rather heavy fees. The biggest fee has always been the overdraft fee.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to touch on that because Frank, you got in a little bit to how you divide. You talked about if you have $1,000, put 200 in the savings, 800, dividing your money. I mean, we talked about banks versus credit unions. One thing is consistent across both: they all have overdraft fees.
They do.
And that's probably one of their, as you said, Frank, one of their heaviest fees and the one that can really get you. So when we talk about things to look out for when you have these checking and savings accounts, we'll get into budgeting. I'm sure it'll be many episodes of it. But my general rule is, whatever you think you're going to need to spend, have that plus 20% on top in the checking account, because you never know, emergencies, prices change. You want to be prepared. You don't want to get those overdraft fees.
Or if you can, bank somewhere where they will link the accounts so that they automatically pull the money out of your savings account to cover an overdraft. Now, that's also can lead to bad things. Oh, I don't have to worry about it. They'll just take the money out of my savings account. Because remember, the purpose of having a savings account is to build that account up for some special purpose, for just to have more money, to head towards being comfortable. Like we're going to use comfortable a lot in this series here.
That's the goal. But generally, at least every time I've dealt with it, as long as, we mentioned this a little bit when you open an account, right? There's some minimum amount, $5, $10, $20, whatever it is. Generally, as long as you keep that minimum in there, I really haven't, in my experience at least, seen fees just for opening or closing an account.
No, there's never a fee for opening or closing.
It's like we said, they want you to open an account. They're not trying to put barriers in your way.
The fees come along the way, especially with banks. And this, I'll give you an example. And this has nothing to do with personal finance, but I opened a statement from a bank today for a company I do work for. And this company maintains a fairly healthy cash balance in their account, in their checking account. But still, the bank still charged us $323 this month for having an account. And this account never had less than $150,000 in it. And I'm like, how can they get away? This is insane. And yes, I know it's not a personal finance thing, but you have to look out for that because they tend to try to nickel and dime you along the way. Yeah. Because, sure, it's only $10 a month fee. Well, they have 20 million customers. Now it's $200 million a month that they're bringing in. That's what they count on. They count on, just having the little bit amount that you're not going to notice, that you're going to say, oh, okay, yeah, that's okay to have the bank. Take that. No. Unless they're providing you something that you need from them, go somewhere else where they're not going to charge you that fee.
Yeah. No, and it's just like what we said when we answered that question a couple episodes ago about looking up free resources, right? And we talked about do your due diligence, right? Not just about being consistent with it, but vetting your source. You need to do the same thing with the account. You can find this information before you ever open the account. It's on the statements. You got to dig a little bit. You go to the bank's website, you find it, but it'll tell you what the fees are. And don't be in a rush to do it, right? Read through, understand, okay, where are they going to charge me? Where are they not going to? And Frank, to your point, there's so many options out there now and so many ones where there really aren't as many fees. And you need to be going there.
Well, there are online banks. We haven't even talked about those.
Oh, yeah.
And I do have an account at an online bank just because I wanted to see what the experience was like, how they worked and all that. They're usually very, very low cost because They don't have branches. They don't have people sitting around all day waiting for people to come in the door. Now, once again, the difference with the online bank is, okay, I got a debit card for this online bank, but now I got to figure out where I can use it, because every time I've ever tried to use it, I got charged a fee.
Ooh.
Writing a check, yeah, they write a check, but it's $1.50 a check every time I write one. So yeah, everything has its plus and minuses. There's lots of options. Like Colin said, unfortunately, you got to read the fine print. They may say, open up your free checking account today. Look for the asterisks, because if there's an asterisk, then it probably says somewhere, free for the first 90 days, free for the first 180 days, and $15 per month after that. And I'll be honest with you, most people don't look at their bank accounts anymore, except that when
It's like you don't look at it till something goes wrong.
Right. You check to see that you've got money. So you don't even notice that they're taking $10 or $15 a month. No one balances a checking account anymore. They just, they're counting on that. They're counting on that. Okay, hey, 90 days is up. We can hit them with their $10 fee. And you will not notice unless you're running it really tight.
Yeah.
And it's like, I thought I had $9 left in here. How can I be overdrawn? They took a $10, and they will take a $10 fee, and they will charge you an overdraft fee. So,
well, it's unfortunately the personal finance. It's not as easy as some people out there might make it out to be. You got to do a little bit of work. You got to read. You got to know what you're getting yourself into. That really is the secret to a lot of anything we're going to talk about moving forward.
Right, because when it comes to money, most people treat you fairly. Most people are honest, but there's a whole lot of people that are willing to take advantage of you as much as humanly possible.
Wow. I think we're going to end on that, because I know that on our next episode, you two are going to share some insider secrets that will help all of us. It's going to be juicy from what I've heard, and I can't wait. And for you listening, you don't want to miss this. You're going to find out stuff that will save you time, save you lots of money, and save you a lot of worry and hassle. Thanks for listening. And if you want to hear more, or be sure to check us out on our YouTube channel. That's the McEnulty Method.